Okay, this is insane. I had someone telling me turn-based RPGs are dead, and I said, no, they're not. Look at this list. These are 15 awesome upcoming turn-based RPGs, and I bet there are entries on this list you've never heard of. What RPGs are you looking forward to the most at the moment? Let us all know in the comments. Let's start with the game that inspired this video. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was just recently revealed, and it looks insanely cool. It's about the Paintress who awakes once every year, writes a number on her monolith and wipes out everyone at that age. I think that's a pretty good premise. This game combines turn-based combat with real-time elements, so attacks can be enhanced with a time button press, but you'll also be able to actively perform a dodge, block or parry. And with free aim, you can target the enemy's weak spots. This all sounds and looks super dynamic, and I can't wait to get my hands on this when it releases sometime next year. Runa is an indie RPG inspired by classic JRPGs and with a great mix of fantasy and sci-fi. The turn-based combat puts a heavy focus on the 7 elemental powers and weaknesses. Mastering the system allows you to break the elemental balance of the enemy and gain an extra turn. Maybe kind of similar to SMT. Doing all this will allow you to perform a group ultimate and deal heavy damage. The elemental powers aren't only used in combat though, as a lot of puzzles require their use as well. The Kickstarter goal of $45,000 was exceeded by almost 8 times, so a lot of people are excited about it, and you should be too. Lost Helden is a game inspired by JRPGs of the PS1 era. This game's combat system also combines strategic turn-based and dynamic action RPG gameplay into an interesting and fresh mix. Combat is split into 2 phases. In the action phase, it's basically your turn and you decide how to use your action points to deal the most damage. The action phase also allows you to hit subscribe if you enjoyed this video and like videos about indie games, RPGs and more. In the reaction phase, it's the enemy's turn to attack, but you'll be able to dodge, parry and counter-attack. Exploiting weaknesses even allows you to gain more action phases, so a strategic approach is your key to victory. Lost Helden is set to release next year and I can't wait to see more of this beautiful RPG. The White Raven is one of the most interesting genre mixes I've seen in a while, because it combines the look and feel of JRPGs with combat inspired by CRPGs like Baldur's Gate 3. You'll be able to interact with the environment and use it to your advantage, like setting the terrain on fire and pushing people into it. Combining elements is crucial as well, as you need to pay attention if, for example, the floor is wet, which amplifies lightning attacks and weakens fire skills. Character placement is important as well because, for example, having the high ground increases the range of your range attacks. As you can see, there's a lot of strategy involved in this game, and considering you can build your own tribe and form relationships, you can be sure there's a lot to discover in the White Raven. Metaphor ReFantazio sits at the top of many people's wishlist, and for good reason. The Persona devs created an interesting new universe. Fans of the Shin Megami Tensei games can experience battles that feel familiar and fresh at the same time because Metaphor ReFantazio features both action and turn-based combat. Weak enemies can be quickly defeated with the action combat, while stronger enemies must be defeated in turn-based battles. Archetypes offer a strategic depth as they provide you with different set of skills. While you will explore dungeons and complete missions during the day, the night is for making new relationships and improving skills. Overall, Metaphor ReFantazio looks like an incredibly intriguing mix to me, and I'm so excited to dive into this world in October. Fretless The Wrath of Rifsun is a charming pixel art RPG and perfect for every music enthusiast. Combat is turn-based, but there's a lot of action required from the player, since skills are performed with a short rhythm gain. The more precise you hit the notes, the more damage you deal. Equipping different instruments like a guitar, a bass and more gives you access to a unique set of skills, so occasionally swapping out your weapon guarantees a huge variety in combat, as every skill comes with its own rhythm gain. Fretless The Wrath of Rifsun is set to release in 2024, and I am so much looking forward to this musical RPG. Sacrifier is easily one of my most anticipated RPGs. That's because the setting is a beautiful mix of high fantasy and sci-fi, and also because the combat is a whole lot of fun. I have to admit, calling Sacrifier's combat turn-based is a bit of a stretch, but I think it falls between a lot of things. You can freely move around the battlefield, attack enemies with skills, and dodge their attacks. The twist is, enemies only move when you move, and their attacks are telegraphed, so you have to be really careful with your movement and your action points. Overall, Sacrifier plays a lot like Valkyrie Profile, not only because of the combat, but also the level design, which is mostly 2D, and the soundtrack that is composed by Mutoi Sakuraba. If all that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. Escape from Ever After is a cross-genre RPG inspired by the Paper Mario series. The story is about a greedy mega corporation that wants to commercialize fairy tale books using cheap labor, and of course the hero's job is to prevent this. Much like in Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario, time button presses play an important role, only that this game goes one step further. Performing skills sometimes require a minigame to determine the damage output. All of that looks super charming and heartwarming, and I am looking forward to destroying that mega corporation when this game comes out. Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters have been announced a while ago, but they should come out this year. These two classics are beloved for their unique gameplay mechanics. The Suikoden games feature 3 different combat systems: a straightforward turn-based combat, which is the main system, the army battles, and one-on-one duels. To be prepared for all of the 3 combat systems, you can recruit over 100 characters, all with unique personalities and skills. The remastered versions come with improved HD backgrounds, autosave, and many more quality of life improvements. I can't wait to finally experience these 2 JRPG classics when they release sometime this year. Forge of the Fae is a gorgeous pixel art RPG inspired by classic RPGs and Celtic folklore. Combat is once again focused on exploiting elemental weaknesses. There isn't too much information about this game available yet, but it seems like exploiting these weaknesses can change the turn order displayed at the top of the screen. The trailer gave me a great vibe, and although it's only 1 minute long, it was enough for me to include it on this list. Quartet is a whimsical indie RPG and a love letter to the 16-bit era of JRPGs. The story is about a government conspiracy and how a century-old conflict reshaped the world. The turn-based combat comes with a dynamic twist because the character's AP only recover when they are not active in combat, so swapping them out at the right time is a crucial part of the combat strategy. Like many other games on this list, elemental weaknesses are super important and have an effect on the turn order of your characters. If you always wanted a game with a hippo as a playable character, maybe Quartet is able to fulfill that dream. Lumine Memories of Cray is a monster collector RPG, and its 2.5D graphics look incredibly beautiful. And as much as this is inspired by Pokemon, this of course comes with its own ideas. The Anemons, which are the monsters you capture and fight with, are capable of affecting the feelings and interacting with the very soul of every living being. Combat is affected by that too, because the skills you choose to use can have an effect on the next skill, so you really need to be considerate with what actions to perform. Catching Anemons not only happens in combat, but outside of it too, since you can throw a yo-yo, which allows you to capture weaker Anemons easily. If you were disappointed by the last couple of Pokemon games, maybe you should add Lumine Memories of Cray to your wishlist. Sky Ocean's Wings for Hire fills the hole Sega left with never releasing a remaster for Skies of Arcadia. This charming RPG with Sky Pirates lets you recruit crew members and explore a gorgeous cel-shaded world, not only by foot, but also with your airship. Battles are fought with your airship, so customizing your ship with different parts is super important, as they give you access to new skills and therefore a lot of variety in combat. This looks like a heartwarming and big adventure, and I can wait to experience this sometime this year. Bloomtown: A Different Story is a beautiful pixel art JRPG set in America of the 1960s, and combines popular gameplay elements into something really interesting. You can tame monsters in combat, engage with characters in social sim aspects, but also have some light farming elements. Yeah, it's a crazy mix, and considering all of that takes place in 2 worlds you can wander around freely, this all sounds like a really ambitious indie title. But it's definitely one I will keep an eye out for when it releases at the end of 2024. Alzara Radiant Echoes is easily one of my most anticipated games right now. Like a lot of other games on this list, the combat focuses on elemental powers. Here you'll be able to swap out characters, which basically lets you combine 2 basic elements into an advanced one. The character's placement brings in another layer of strategy, and overall this combat system looks super dynamic and super fun. Just like with Sacrifier, the soundtrack for this game is contributed by Motoi Sakuraba, which is so cool because he's one of my favorite composers ever. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for this. Alright, that's it. 15 of the most interesting upcoming turn-based RPGs. What RPG are you currently looking forward to? Let us all know in the comments and hit that beautiful subscribe button if there was any game new to you, and click like if you enjoyed this video. Alright, thanks so much for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.